Hey everybody, and welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to be talking about tools, and more specifically the 5 essential tools every single beginner woodworker needs. Now you might be thinking, Steve, I've seen those videos with the 25 essential tools and I can't afford all that. And you know what, you're right. You don't need a shop full of fancy gadgets to get started with woodworking. What you need are a few basic tools, the right tools that will help you build just about anything. So if you're ready to start making sawdust and building something awesome, stick around, because in this video I'm going to walk you through the 5 essential tools that will lay the foundation for your woodworking journey. Let's get started. All right, folks, let's kick things off with our very first essential tool, the handsaw. Now I know what you're thinking. A handsaw in the age of power tools? And you know what? You're right. There are all sorts of fancy power saws out there, but trust me on this one, a good old-fashioned handsaw is an absolute must-have for any beginner woodworker. First off, a handsaw is incredibly versatile. You can use it for making rough cuts, cross cuts, you name it. It's also great for breaking down larger pieces of lumber into more manageable sizes before you head over to your power tools. Now, there are a few different types of handsaws out there, but for beginners, I recommend starting with a basic cross-cut saw. This type of saw is designed for cutting across the grain of the wood, which is what you'll be doing most of the time. When using a handsaw, it's important to use a steady, controlled motion. Start by making a small notch with the teeth of the saw at a 45-degree angle, then use long, smooth strokes, letting the saw do the work for you. Don't force it. One thing I love about handsaws is that they're incredibly forgiving. If you make a mistake, it's usually pretty easy to correct. Just back up a bit and adjust your cut. No harm, no foul. Remember, practice makes perfect. The more you use your handsaw, the more comfortable and confident you'll become. And who knows, you might even find yourself reaching for it even when you have a power saw handy. There's just something satisfying about working with hand tools, isn't there? All right, now that we've got our saw ready to go, let's talk about the next essential tool on our list, the measuring tape. Now, I know this one might not seem as exciting as a shiny new saw, but trust me, a good measuring tape is the unsung hero of countless woodworking projects. In woodworking, accuracy is key. I mean, have you ever put on a shirt that was missing a sleeve? It just doesn't work, right? Well, the same goes for woodworking. If your measurements are off, your entire project can be thrown out of whack. That's where a good measuring tape comes in. It's your trusty sidekick for ensuring that every cut you make is precise and accurate. Now, when it comes to choosing a measuring tape, there are a few things to keep in mind. First, make sure you get one that's at least 25 feet long. This will give you plenty of reach for most projects. Second, look for a tape measure with a sturdy blade that locks securely in place. You don't want your tape measure slipping and sliding around while you're trying to get an accurate measurement. Now, when it comes to actually using your measuring tape, there are a few things to keep in mind. First, always double-check your measurements. It's better to be safe than sorry, right? Second, make sure you're measuring from the correct spot. It sounds obvious, but it's easy to get mixed up, especially when you're working on a more complex project. And finally, don't be afraid to mark your measurements directly on your wood. A little pencil mark can go a long way in preventing costly mistakes. Chapter 3. If all you have is a hammer, the versatile tool. No workshop should be without. All right, folks, let's move on to our next essential tool, the hammer. Now, you might be thinking, a hammer? Isn't that a bit basic, Steve? And you know what? You're right. The hammer is about as basic as it gets when it comes to tools, but that's exactly why it's so essential. A good hammer is like a trusty sidekick. It's always there for you, ready to tackle a wide range of tasks, from driving nails to assembling furniture. And let's be honest, is there anything more satisfying than that satisfying thwack of a hammer hitting a nail dead on? Now, when it comes to choosing a hammer, there are a few different types to consider. For most woodworking projects, a standard claw hammer will do the trick. The claw on the back is perfect for pulling out nails if you make a mistake or need to disassemble something. When using a hammer, it's important to grip it towards the end of the handle. This will give you more leverage and power in your swing, and remember, safety first. Always wear safety glasses when hammering and keep your fingers clear of the striking area. But the versatility of a hammer doesn't end there. You can use the hammer to gently tap pieces into place to persuade stubborn joints to cooperate. and even as a makeshift mallet when needed. And you know what the best part is? A good hammer is an investment that will last you a lifetime. So there you have it, the humble hammer, an essential tool for any beginner woodworker. Chapter 4. Driving Force. The screwdriver, your key to secure and sturdy projects. All right, let's move on to another essential tool that no woodworker should be without, the screwdriver. Now, you might be thinking, a screwdriver, isn't that a bit, well, basic? And you know what? You're right. The screwdriver is about as basic as it gets when it comes to tools, but that's exactly why it's so essential. A good set of screwdrivers is crucial for assembling furniture, installing hardware, and countless other woodworking tasks. Think of screwdrivers as the unsung heroes of the workshop, quietly holding everything together. Now, when it comes to choosing screwdrivers, the first thing you'll notice is that they come in a dizzying array of shapes and sizes, but don't worry, you don't need to buy every single one. For starters, I recommend getting a basic set that includes both Phillips and flathead screwdrivers in a variety of sizes. A Phillips head screwdriver has a cross-shaped tip, while a flathead screwdriver has a single flat blade. You'll find that these two types will cover the vast majority of your screwing needs. Trust me on this one, when using a screwdriver, it's important to choose the right size and type for the screw you're working with. Using the wrong size or type of screwdriver can damage the screw head, making it difficult or even impossible to drive it in straight. And speaking of driving screws straight, here's a little tip for you. Apply firm, even pressure to the screwdriver as you turn it. This will help prevent the screwdriver from slipping out of the screw head and damaging your workpiece. Chapter 5. Clamping down on success, how wood clamps make your projects rock solid. All right, let's talk about another essential tool that no woodworker should be without. The wood clamp. Now, you might be thinking, clamps, aren't those just for holding things together? And you know what? You're right. But in the world of woodworking, holding things together is a pretty big deal. Clamps are like having an extra pair of hands in the workshop. They hold your workpieces securely in place, allowing you to focus on the task at hand without worrying about things slipping and sliding around. Trust me, once you start using clamps, you'll wonder how you ever lived without them. Now, when it comes to choosing clamps, you'll quickly discover that there are a lot of different types available. But don't worry, you don't need to buy them all. For starters, I recommend getting a few different sizes of bar clamps, also known as F-clamps. These are the workhorses of the clamping world and will handle a wide variety of clamping tasks. Another handy type of clamp is the spring clamp. These are great for quick clamping jobs and are especially useful for holding small pieces together. Think of them as the quick draw artists of the clamping world. When using clamps, it's important to distribute the clamping pressure evenly. This will help prevent your workpieces from bowing or warping under the pressure. And always use scrap pieces of wood between the clamp jaws and your workpiece to protect the wood from getting damaged. So there you have it, the humble wood clamp, an essential tool for any beginner woodworker. With a few clamps in your arsenal, you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish. Well, there you have it, folks. The 5 essential woodworking tools that every beginner needs. The handsaw, the measuring tape, the hammer, the screwdriver, and the wood clamp. With these 5 tools in your arsenal, you'll be well on your way to tackling a wide range of woodworking projects. Remember, start with the basics, practice your techniques, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we learn and grow as woodworkers. If you have any questions about these tools or anything else woodworking related, feel free to drop a comment down below. And be sure to subscribe to my channel for more woodworking tips, tricks, and projects. Until next time, happy woodworking!